Welcome
Welcome
to
to
Shade.
Shade in the City.
I'm your girl Treese,
It's Nels.
and today we're jumping into our review of The Love and the Marriage that is the Huntsville, season 8, episodes 10 and 11. And Shade Squad, I'm patting y'all on the hand, okay? Because I don't know how y'all let us miss not one, but two episodes, okay?
I mean, technically, we only missed one because we was about to do 11. We was on track for 11.
But we had missed 10.
Yeah, we missed one and we was about to do 11. We would
And
have
12 is coming out in 30 minutes.
we would have had it. We would have did it.
Okay. Anyway, y'all. So no, just joking. We want to thank you guys for being here and sitting through our two-show recap. We'll make it quick, wrap it in a nice shady little bow for you. But I do think both episodes were pretty good, except for the Scots wasting our time again. But yeah, so if you haven't already, Shade Squad and all of our new viewers, please make sure you hit that like button.
And that subscribe button.
And y'all, let's jump right into it and let's get shady. So, episode 10 is called A Stormy is Brewing. We know that, Nell is still getting in the kids' behinds about not being responsible, specifically Chris Jr., behind the money that he owes them or her. His brother Lance starts to get on him about how he wasn't really working when he was working for him and not really setting a good example. And so Chris Jr. was like, so you think it was okay to not give me my last paycheck? And I thought that was kind of strange because I was
He
like,
was like,
okay,
he was like,
I know
yeah.
it's family business, but yeah, I'm gonna still need. He was
He
like,
was
that was like
like,
four
he
hundred
was like,
dollars worth of work.
he basically said what he basically said was, it's for all them times that I paid you for not working.
Well,
I I need reparations.
yes, and he basically tells Chris Jr. that he was, basically sitting around not doing nothing a lot of times, and that didn't reflect well with the other employees, and they thought that they could do the same thing, so he had to let him go. And so basically, Nell says all the kids owe her some money. Lexi questions why everyone was bought a car except for her, and she had to work a whole summer for hers. And I'm gonna say I'm not gonna take away from how Lexi feels. I do feel like, well, that's a little bit entitled, but I don't know the age differences. I mean, obviously, we know. I'm gonna assume Lance probably grew up in the home with Nell and Chris, and maybe Lexi was like in and out.
You know what? Initially, I'm not gonna lie. When Lexi first started saying, it, I didn't really think it was entitled, but then I was like, "Girl, what are you talking about?" Because Nell was like, "Girl, we gave you $22,000," or Chris was like, "We gave you $22,000," so we assumed because right after that you had a car. So
Right.
for me, I would have felt like, and she was like, "Oh no, but I got a car accident, and that's what I used to buy a car." Girl, whatever you used to buy a car, I gave you money. It ain't my fault you didn't use it towards the car.
I think so. I think the only thing that bothered me, and I could see where Chris and Nell was bothered, it wasn't, and maybe for us, you know what I mean, but like it was the fact that such and such got a BMW, such and such got a Lexus, such and such, and it was like, oh, so everybody got luxury vehicle, and we're from the days of you should just be happy if your parents were able to buy you a car that you got one. So I just was like, but I understand, and then I also think too maybe what the I can't speak to Lance, and that's why I was like, it's a hard point to make, but I would think that maybe what Chris and the money that they're probably making now is not what they were making when Lance and
Yeah, I
Lexi
think the
were
age
young.
difference probably does have a lot to
Yeah,
do
and
with it.
it's
When,
different. It's generation. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Hmm.
But no. So she basically talks about how they barely came to her wedding. And they say they feel like they were
They
barely
said they
invited,
barely got an invite.
but they still showed up for her. And apparently Lexi, this has been like an ongoing thing with her. She's always kind of felt like the black sheep. She, kind of goes off and then goes away, blocks everybody. And kind of the whole family kind of jumps on her. And it's basically, like she's spoiled. She don't know what she's
And like
talking
she does
about.
that to herself.
Right. And she's basically like has a messed up, distorted idea of what reality is and what really happened to her, which I think is unfair to say because everybody's what she feels and what she experiences, what she.
I don't
Yeah, I knew
because
you were gonna say something.
I don't remember what comedian said it, but I feel like, listen, if you was a head for 20 years and everybody around you telling you head, girl, you head, okay?
Okay. Yeah.
Even if your memory doesn't serve you correctly, and that's not the life you were living, you just walking down the street bopping your head, living the life, you may not feel like you head, okay? Everyone around you notices it. I think majority rules.
You're stupid. Well, needless to say, so even Kiki, the niece, is getting irritated with her. And so Nell's like, I don't know what you're talking about. You've been treated just as well as everybody else. So she walks out with her husband following behind her. Poor boy. I guess that was the Caucasian
You
man.
can tell he's used to it.
Right.
He's like, okay, well, my wife's
Right.
leaving.
My wife is leaving, so let me go. So then Chris goes after them to check on her because obviously that's his daughter. And again, this is what got me. She's going on about her siblings having luxury vehicles. Then she threatens to burn the house down. Chris denies ever mistreating her. And then Lexi tells him he hasn't been there for her since she was 28 years old. So
No,
Chris,
until she was 28.
right. So then Chris is like, oh, what you're not going to do is get on this good camera
And make up
and
these
show
lies.
your whole and paint this narrative. He was like, I might not have been the best parent, but what you're not going to do is
I
make
wasn't no deadbeat.
right. What you're not gonna do is make it seem like I was an absent parent. And so basically he tell her to take us home.
He said, oh, now you starting to piss me off.
Right. And he walks away at that point.
I said, all right, Mr. Fletcher.
I said, we see, and even then he was still cool, but he was like, get out my driveway.
Basically, get out of him. Courtney and Stormy, they're outside of her mansion.
Okay.
Having a conversation about how far they've come. They built a $40 million business, but realistically almost went under. She said that she had to get rid of a lot of snakes in the company to, be able to thrive and be able to rise like a phoenix. Okay. And he let her know after this conversation that he rehired her cousin.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, that's the time to bring him up, talking about snakes. Okay. And she's really not sure that, this is a good idea, but
Especially after the conversation she just had with her COO.
But you know what she said? You know what? I'm gonna stick beside him. I'm gonna trust my husband. And listen, sir, if you want to continue to live this life, you're gonna let him go when it's time to. Okay. Now, Martell, he has
You
finally
gonna
moved
bring
out.
up how she inviting the girls over to her house? Well, I guess we knew that, but
She's inviting the girls up to her house.
girls being Kiki and Tiffany so they can have a civilized conversation.
Look, I know this is 2 episodes. I ain't trying to make it too long. I want people to actually watch it.
That way.
Martell finally moves out of Chris's house. He's trying to hurry up and get things in there, get the help that he needs because he's having surgery under his eyes to get the bags removed. I don't remember him having bags under his eyes. Do you?
I don't either, but if that don't sound like some charade.
It does. When I tell you, when he said, I said, Sheree probably suggested that. Then he gave Chris a call to let him know. Chris is happy as hell, okay, that he is finally free and clear of this man and he can sell the house, okay, without no issues. And Chris, had a few words with him about Nell and that situation, how everything went down. Martell said, he didn't feel no type of way about it. He knows that they both have tempers. Chris also knows that they both have tempers, and he thinks that he was just trying to satisfy his wife.
Yeah.
Of course.
I kind of felt the same way. But I mean, kudos to Chris for doing it.
Well, no, because I think he spoke to him about it. He went into more depth later, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. So Mel and her best friend Brittany, she came over at Mel and put her to work, helping her get her orders out. Now this is definitely something that I would make Chanel do.
She like, girl, you ain't showing for me. Pack them packages.
Right. So Mel wants to bring up her not being there for her name change ceremony. And I felt like, in my opinion, she was beating a dead horse. Also because Britney basically had already said, girl, I told you that my niece, so you knew this, but she continues to make it a point. Well, I'm just so mad that you weren't there. And at that point, I'd be like, but you were very well aware of why I wasn't there. What, I don't know. It was just very interesting.
It was given, it was just for the cameras.
Right. And she was like, I helped you, create, help you with designs. I just couldn't physically be in the backyard. So once they moved past that, and she was like, Mel was like, I felt like you should have been there because you was there when I met little buddy. I thought that was cute. And so she was
I
like,
thought it was funny the way they had little buddy going across the screen.
right. And so she's like, well, maybe you can help me find my next man because, I think this vagina might be international. You know what I'm saying? It might need to go abroad. And so they're like talking about, her specifics of what she likes, her love languages. It was really cute. I just thought it was so funny to hear Mel talk about her vagina in that way because she's proper Mel.
Because she don't never do that.
Right, because she don't
never do that. Then Chris stopped by Nell's daycare. And she want to have a conversation. She was like, I really don't want to get into it, but we need to talk about this. She said that she tried to reach out to I think it was Chris Jr. And she calling him picking up. Okay. And they both figure he's still mad about the conversation that they had. And Chris feels like it's because of the way she comes across, to the kids. And she said, well, I ain't you. Okay. And she said, I really don't give a damn because I feel like they're asses. So they're gonna get this energy. Okay. And he feels
that giving out all the tough love.
I don't really feel like it's tough love.
You don't think so? Oh, okay.
I don't feel like it's tough love.
I feel like she's very tough. I guess because maybe you don't see that from like most mothers. Like that's usually in my opinion.
Because most of them have little kids. Her kids are grown.
So you think it's because her kids are grown? She's so
yes.
tough? Okay.
I done showed you the way. Why are you still coming to me? Why? Be grown on your own.
Well, I guess. Well, at least stay out of the house. I mean, hopefully she ain't paying the rent.
And still, that don't matter. Basically, he feels like they could really use some therapy, and she feels like this is a great idea because they usually are the ones giving therapy to other people, and she feels like therapy really could help them. Then Kiki, she went over to Stormy so that they could sit down and have a conversation about Tiffany. Before Tiffany got there, Stormy really wanted to discuss what happened with Tisha, and Kiki really wasn't here for it. She was like, girl, let's not even
excuse me
talk about that. Like, now that was beating a dead horse. Okay. Kiki was like, nope, we ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna do it. So Kiki basically said that she's really not here for that conversation. So you know what? Stormy was like, okay, but I'm gonna switch gears. So they moved on to Tiffany. And she said that she really just wants to know why she continues to lie on her and keep her name in her mouth. What?
Can we talk about, just touch on it for a second? I just feel like in that conversation, Kiki was acting like Tisha owed her something. Like, thank you for the way my life turned.
Oh,
that's the only thing I didn't like about that. Like,
if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have been here. You wouldn't
even went to college. You wouldn't. I just felt like she thinks she's owed a lot more than she's probably due. That's just my.
I mean, who knows? I mean, she is from the other side of the tracks. Maybe she ain't had no plans on going to college.
I mean, but even if she didn't, it's her that got up. Like, I feel like stuff like that is kind of like, you know what I mean?
Like Blueface-ish?
Yeah. It's giving, it's doing way too much. You're trying to control way too much. My destiny is my destiny.
Yeah. That's exactly what it's giving. It's giving Blueface.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But yeah, Kiki says that she plans to set Tiffany straight. Then Tiffany pulls up and Kiki noticed that, listen, I'm clearly not gonna be able to put hands on this shit because she got baby Ace with her. She's like, oh, she brought the baby.
Right.
I said, she knew what she was doing. Tiffany knew.
Well, that was episode 10 for the most part. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit that like button.
And that subscribe button.
And y'all, let's jump into episode 11, the Whitlows Stay or Whitlows Go. And I ain't gonna spoil it for y'all. Anyway, if you don't already know. But anyway, so now we picked back where we left off. Stormy's explaining why she brought these ladies together because of how Tiffany was going at poor little Kiki in the Carlos King interview. And felt like she was, doing too much. Now Kiki jumps in and discussing how, most of the interview was basically about her, and she didn't really understand why. So Tiffany basically talks about how she felt like from the spa, she was coming for her. And it was just a lot of back and forth, rehashing old stuff. And I really felt like Tiffany was just trying to get through the conversation just so she could go. I don't know. She says, well, by the time we get through them hashing things out, and Kiki's like, get to know me and judge me off of me, and you don't know why I treat Tisha the way I treat Tisha. You haven't been there for that to know the history, and if you knew how she treated me. And I was like, okay. So Tiffany's like, oh, okay, well, you're showing a more vulnerable side of yourself, and I never seen this side, and maybe I should. And I was just like, come on, girl, y'all never gonna be real cool like that, and you ain't. Let me not spoil it for y'all. But anyway, the point is that we go through this conversation. They make nice, shake hands. Everybody leaves unscathed, and Stormy feels like leaving, feeling like she won, like she did something. So
Chris, he went over to go see Martell. Martell wanted to know how the dinner went because he brought over some bottles of wine. Chris let him know that it went left because his daughter Alexis feels like she was mistreated because she didn't get everything materialistically that everyone else got. Martell begins to touch on the disrespect. So, with Nell and Chris, he went there with him. So he let him know how he felt disrespected. Martell stresses that, she was the one being super disrespectful. He's not about to be disrespected by a woman. And if he needs to, he gonna check whoever needs to be checked. In the words of your good girl, okay, who gonna check me, boo? Cause Nell is not the one. You ain't checking Nell, okay? Now, Chris told him conversations like that, you need to come to me, okay? Don't go to my wife. What we're not about to do, we're not about to have a heated conversation with my wife. Right. Martell got his feelings about, how they're switching sides. And Fletcher was like, no, sir, we're right in the middle. Okay. But it really wasn't giving that. The energy really wasn't giving. We're in the middle. I'm not going to lie.
I guess because it's only a little bit of 2023 left, Kimmy and Tisha thought they could waste our time and give us this scene about Tisha supposedly might be being pregnant. Even though, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think she would ever step out on her husband. And we learned that Marceau has had a vasectomy. So either you had nothing else to give us, or you really didn't want to talk about the real of what's going on. Now, what she does let us know going on in this scene is that as Kimmy's trying to, the same storyline, rejuvenate her badge, we hear about Tisha's troubles, and she feels like she's ready to go back home and be a stay-at-home mom. Her trying to follow Mel's footsteps didn't really work out like she thought it would. And she's not the boss bee that she thought she was or is pretending to be, and it's becoming too much of. And I'm not saying, you know what, let me scale that back. It's hard being a boss bee, okay? Especially managing family, all partnerships, all that. It absolutely is. I'm not gonna take that away from that girl. I think my thing is you started with the bullshit, and so that's why we're here, right? But I do feel for and I think that it is absolutely wonderful to want something for yourself, and you absolutely should. But I do think a lot of it was trying to just follow or trail behind Mel's footsteps and kind of outdo her. And I think that and then even Stormy's, or just because we know she kind of does everybody else's ideas, and I don't know. So maybe she does need to take a step back, but apparently it's causing issues with her kids and her man. And even Marceau is suggesting that they go to marriage counseling. So it's bad when Marceau is just suggesting counseling.
I feel like I pulled that in a while.
I'm just saying, you know what? I think that, and hear me out. I've been there. I think we've all of us women, most women can speak to your cup being completely empty. I absolutely understand that. And you have to fill yourself back up and work on yourself. But I think that that takes a lot of like self-awareness and reflection and what's going on that's taking away from you and what you're pouring into. And if you don't want to look at that, then your cup's never gonna be full. That's just my opinion.
Well, a word with Latrice.
That's my word of the day.
Goodness. Moving on to Chris and Chris Jr. Okay, so
this was such a sweet moment. Shout out to producers for this. We need this. We need Black men having real conversations.
I had to skim over my notes real quick because I was like, what are you talking about?
No, we needed this to see, just like with Jamie and Little Jamie, we need to see more of Black men having real conversations about emotions, how they feel, mental health. Absolutely. We need to see more of this.
So Chris Jr. went over to see Mr. Fletcher and have a conversation. He apparently hasn't really talked to him since the dinner. I don't know how long that is in, own world, but it seemed like it's a long time. Mm-hmm. He said it's because everything at the dinner, it was a lot. Okay. There was a lot of opinions. Everybody was doing too much. They wanted to talk all about him and what, he was doing or not doing. And, how I guess he also has, problems with Lance. He has problems with his mom. He was just like, it was a lot to take in. Okay. And he said that right now he's just trying to get his life together. Now, after listening to him, Chris Fletcher feels that, he may have a form of depression, which makes him feel super upset and emotional. And, he's like, I just want to know what I need to do, how I can help. Okay. And says that he'll drop anything for any one of his kids. And his son agrees that maybe it is a form of depression, and says that, he'll seek out some form of therapy.
Yeah. I'm just happy because, like he said, he ain't sleeping. He been in the streets and he lives on his own. He didn't have to. He could have. I have a 5-year-old who tells me I'm fine. It's good. Da da da. So I think that's super important. Like that your kids be able to talk to you and tell you what's going on. But let's get to the nitty of the gritty of this. Okay. I don't want
like what she wanted to say from the minute we started this
episode. So Tiffany and Louis sit down now. I'm gonna have differing feelings on this scene because my heart still goes out to her. Okay. Now, people are going to differ, right? You see the faces. People are going to differ on how they feel. Now, obviously, we know Tiffany's been dealing with these newfound challenges with this newborn baby Ace.
That people tried to warn her about.
That everyone tried to warn her about. She tells Louis, about the meeting with Stormy and Kiki. She talks about Kiki, opening up and being a different person that she's seen, she hasn't seen before. So Louis is just glad everything went well, but then brings up, I'm surprised you even did that because of just the way I feel like
everything you're going through.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I felt like when he said that, she wasn't expecting him to say that on camera. Mm-hmm. I feel like she was a little bit caught off guard. And I think Louis did it for a reason. Mm-hmm. Like basically, no, you're not gonna. Maybe it's just me, but the vibe I got from watching this was that she still didn't necessarily want to back out. She was like, I just need to figure out how to manage. And Louis was basically told her in a nutshell, in order to save our marriage, save our family, we need to get off this show. Mm-hmm. It's what it boils down to, Shade Squad. Mm-hmm. She's dealing with postpartum depression. She finally admits that. And that she just doesn't know who she is anymore. She feels like being on the show, she has to cause drama and stir things up. But I feel like you were doing that before you got pregnant. Because even when they flash back to that first reunion, that was before y'all were even talking about a baby. And you had first got on the show and people wanted you off the show. So that was just you naturally. And I did like what I heard somebody else say. What's meant for you is meant for you. It should never be that hard. So if you had to do all that just to make your place on the show, maybe this.
Yeah, but it probably, all the comments and stuff like that, all the hate probably just progressively got worse. And then also dealing with this postpartum,
Yeah, so her and Lewis have decided. I applaud Lewis and I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, and this is just alleged, we never know. But with the rumors being out in the streets, I also think Lewis didn't want to be a Marcel. I think if he wants to do what he wants to do, he wants to do it in peace.
Are you saying Lewis is for the streets?
I'm saying that if he was, he doesn't want to be on
I
fire.
need to believe that there are some men out there that don't cheat.
I'm not saying
Okay.
that. I'm saying that if you were going to do it, you don't want to be on a national television show where everybody knows your face and is looking for you and knows your wife.
Where everybody knows your name.
Right. And this is Alabama. I mean, I'm sure it's big, but come on now. Nobody. So that's just I want a level, because I'm sure, like you said, people being in the comments, your husband's cheating on you, whatever, that didn't help her.
I think that's part of the reason why Tisha
is going through it.
Mm-hmm.
Take hints, Tisha. Take hints. But anyway, so that was pretty much the episode 11 of the Love and the Marriage That Is the Huntsville. If you have not already, Shade Squad and the new viewers, please make sure that you've hit that like button.
You comment.
You subscribe.
And you hit the notification bell.
And make sure you're following us on all the platforms, the TikTok, the Twitter, the Facebook, and the IG. And we will catch y'all next week in a couple of days, because it comes out tonight. Y'all know what I'm saying. We'll see y'all with the next review, episode 12, of the Love and the Marriage that's in the #1 city in America. Not where I'm at, Huntsville. Good night.
Good night.